I just think it's funny how... Salutations, my good man. Today we are touching on a topic that I've already covered. 50% of this channel is dedicated to thrifting, everything thrifting, trip to the thrift, come thrift with me, trip thrifts. But everybody asks, what did you get, but not how did you get it? And I did cover this in a video bluntly titled How to Thrift, but that video was like a couple of years ago now, and I've learned a lot since then. So I just want to add a little bit more to it, make it more of a comprehensive guide. So that brings me to the title of this video, the ultimate how to thrift guide. I couldn't think of a better keyworded title if I do say so myself. Like I said, there is already a how to thrift video by me, and I'll leave a card to that video in one of these corners. I have no idea which way it comes out of, but I will be covering those tips in this video. So if you want the TLDR on that, that's gonna come very, very soon. This video was more from the perspective of a consumer, someone who's thrifting just for themselves, doing it for a little bit of fun, not doing it as a job. So take that into account for this recap. So we have inspire yourself with vintage aesthetics. This is like mood boards, influencers, celebrities, people who just have the vintage style aesthetic. There's a lot of different pockets of vintage that you can sort of go to. It's more or less find your style before you go into these thrift stores. Which brings me to my next point, have an idea of what you want. This is more or less keeping focus in a charity shop. I'm looking for a pair of jeans. I've got it in the front of my mind that I'm looking for a pair of jeans. I'm not being distracted with this, that, and the other. Looking back, this one is completely optional. Like, you don't have to have a military style routine when you go into a charity shop if you're doing it for fun. So take this one with a pinch of salt. Next, we have wear simple clothes. I mean, just wear like clean clothes, something that can match different items of clothing that you'll find in the thrift store. Maybe you're gonna find like a super loud jumper that you wanna wear. Just wear like a plain white t-shirt and a pair of like black jeans or something, just so you can try that on without it clashing with any other bit of your outfit really. Next, we have map out your routes. If you go into your local town, just set up a route. I'm gonna go to this side of the town first, and then that side of the town, then this side of the town, rather than springing from one charity shop to the other side of the town, back to the other side of town, back to the other side of town. You know, it's good just to have a little map, a little yellow brick road, if you will. Dorothy is spinning. Next is go frequently. I get a lot of people in my comments going, oh no, I went to the charity shops, but it was dead out. But that's probably because you went once or twice in a week to one charity shop. I don't know, I don't want to assume too much. But it's just simple math. The more times you go, the more chances you have to find what you're looking for. Next is go alone. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've gone into a charity shop with my friends. That's already an exaggeration. And they've picked up items of clothing which I think, oh, that's super sick. Like, I want that. Obviously, I'm happy for them when your swagless homie gets a little bit of clout, whatever. But there's always a little bit of me in the back of my head that's like, oh, if I just went thrifting by myself, that piece could have been mine. But again, that's just me. If you actually enjoy your friend's company, then just take them to the charity shop. Just know that you may lose out on one item or another item, but it's a small price to pay for friendship. Try different towns. So if you're going frequently to charity shops, like, you know, 3 to 4 times a week, you may have completely dried out that small area of charity shops. So the best thing to do is to find another area so you can rotate between the two. Next is bring your own cash and bag. I have been to a number of charity shops where they just accept cash only. I don't know why, it's 2019. Or card payments over a £5, don't ask. And it's always good to have your own bag on you, because these charity shops don't necessarily have to give you a bag, it's just more of a courtesy really. So bring your own bag and bring your own cash. Next is check items for flaws. This is a charity shop. The nature of the game is that these are second-hand clothes, so not all of them are gonna be like pristine grade A condition. So again, keep that in mind when you're out there. Always keep your receipts. Now, this is surprisingly a really underrated tip, just because you have more or less 28 days to bring an item back. So if you buy an item of clothing, but then you realize it's not for you, it doesn't fit right, there's a big massive hole in the side here which I didn't notice before, then you can take it back, full refund. Next is keep an open mind. If anything piques your interest, give it a chance. Again, if you keep your receipt, you can always take it back. The good thing about charity shops and thrift stores is that you can just try things out. There's lots of different styles. You know, there's not one set vintage look. Next is try on the clothes if they're for yourself. If it has a fitting room, utilize it. And lastly is get to know your brands. When I first started thrifting, I used to leave a lot of stuff simply because I had no idea what the brand was. And that is basically a recap of the how to thrift. If you actually want to see that video, I will leave a link in the description down below. Now that we've recycled all of that content, what about these new tips, big man? What about this new wisdom? Bestow onto us this newfound information. It is your duty. Just know that this is more from a reseller's perspective, but you can still apply it if you're thrifting for yourself or just for fun. These are more or less tips for thrifting efficiency. So firstly, I would suggest to follow thrift Instagram pages, vintage clothing Instagram pages, join a Facebook group. I follow a few UK thrifters and it just gets me motivated. Like they're sitting there picking up these sick off like vintage t-shirts and that, and I'm like, oh nah man, I gotta up my game. I gotta go out there and keep up so I can still be one of the boys. So I just get mad motivated when I see other people's pickups. Also, vintage and thrift Facebook pages are really good to follow. Not just because you get the same motivation, people showing off their thrifts and their pickups. They also dabble in a little bit of selling, and they'll also answer your questions. For example, can I get a price check? Can I get a legit check? Can we just talk about these pickups? That kind of thing. So you feel like a real sense of community in there. So just find a Facebook group, get involved in the community, hold tight the thrift and vintage pages. Secondly is try to find different avenues of thrifting. I know it can be a bit of an oversight that thrifting isn't just what you find in a shop. There are many different ways to thrift. Here in the UK, obviously we've got charity shops, but we also have car boot sales, which is more like a flea market. We have kilo sales where you can just fill up a bag, weigh it, and you just pay the weight, hence kilo sales. Or if you really want to go deep and business-like with the whole reselling, thrifting, blah, 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 then you might want to look into wholesalers, buying in bulk, buying out collections, that kind of thing. But that's touching on more on how to be a reseller, which I'll do in a future video if you want me to. Just leave a comment in the comment section like, yeah, do that, big man. Next is try to forecast thrift areas. When you thrifted in a town long enough, you kind of get an idea of what kind of clothes to expect. I go to one town and I pick up a lot of sportswear, a lot of Umbro, vintage Nike, sometimes Ralph Lauren and Lacoste. But then I go to other areas and I pick up things like vintage Burberry, Aquascutum, etc, etc. Again, this isn't like a solid constant, but there is something to the correlation of the type of area, like is it a wealthy area or not, and the clothes you'll find in the charity shops nearby. Also, consider the weather. I know this is a bit like, oh yeah, the weather. But if it's a sunny day, consider that more casual thrifters might come out just because it's like a nice day and it's something to do. So you might want to get up a little bit earlier, try and get there before other people do, that kind of thing. Or if it's raining, less people might come out, so you might want to do more rounds, that kind of thing. Which brings me swiftly to my next point. Thrift early and on weekdays. Now, I never thrift on the weekends anymore. Like, I stopped that. The weekends is basically like my time. This is my time. I normally do all of my thrifting on the weekdays because everyone's either at work, at school, at university. So that just gives you more chance and more opportunity to find good stuff, and also go early as well. If a charity shop opens at 9 AM, consider going at 9:10 to 9:30 because you've got to give them a chance to get the clothes out. Moving on to the next tip. If you see another thrifter, ask them why are they on your turf? Nah, I'm joking. Just move on. And you can tell if someone's a thrifter a mile off. They sit there dripped in the finest vintage Johns. If that person got there first and they've literally got like a pile of clothes in their hand already, there is no chance, big man. Just move on to the next one, take the L. But if you really want, go back when they're gone and see if any new stuff gets put out. This happened to me once. I was just about to walk into the charity shop. Guy comes in before me, comes in with some sick off Air Max 95s, had some nice streetwear vintage on, and I knew it was over. It was over for me. I was like, no, like I'm so vexed. Now I'm low-key crying about it. Like these are tears of a dead soul. Next is do not buy everything you see. If you've been thrifting and reselling for a little while, you're gonna know what sells quickly or what doesn't sell at all. This happened to me when the climate changed with Ralph Lauren. I used to pick up Ralph Lauren polos every single time I went to the charity shop because they used to sell like hotcakes, like bam, bam, bang. They used to go. But then after Ralph Lauren polos sort of fell out of fashion, I was still picking up these polos and they were just sitting. So then after a while, I just stopped buying Ralph Lauren polos and just focused my attention onto other things. Now, I say this both from a consumer and a reseller's point of view. There have been a number of times where I've picked up an item of clothing just because I think it looks interesting, put it on, it's definitely not for me, tried to sell it, nobody wants it either, it's dead. So it just ends up going in a bag and goes back to the charity shop. Them man have finessed me. So don't buy everything you see. If you buy £50 worth of charity shop clothes but can only sell 2 items for like £10 each, you may have made £20 but you're £30 down. So just be mindful, don't buy everything you see. Which brings me to my next point, have a price limit. Now, when I'm reselling clothes, this is really simple for me. You know, it's all about base costs, what are my fees gonna be, and what's the profit gonna be at the end of the day. Now, for a casual thrifter, this might be a little bit different. You might have a higher price tolerance, but some of these charity shops are out to rob man in broad daylight, I swear. I'm not gonna name no names because I'm not a snitch, but most charity shops will be quite generous with their prices. So if you ever see an item of clothing which has 2 digits, just put it down, just put it down. It's not worth it. We have to come together as a community and stop this madness. So just have a price limit. Next is to follow current trends. Thrifting is very much a relevant fashion topic. Everyone's into this whole like sustainable fashion, save the planet type deal. So vintage style has more or less been in the forefront of what's currently trending. And a perfect example of this is like tie-dye t-shirts and Hawaiian aloha shirts. You will find these in spades in charity shops, no doubt whatsoever. However, you have like Urban Outfitters or ASOS try and make their own Hawaiian vintage shirts. So keep on the lookout for current trends because you might be missing out on something that A, might be worth some money, or B, it could be something that's on trend and possibly one you'll follow in the near future. Next, watch out for fake items. I think this comes with a little bit of knowledge and experience. So I would say do a little bit of research, do a little bit of reading, know the difference between what's real and how you can identify a real item of clothing and what is fake. This will be more common in luxury items like Burberry, Louis Vuitton, that kind of thing. So it's good to arm yourself with that information just in case you splash out £80 on a Louis V bag thinking you're gonna make bare peas or you're gonna flex at the airport. And the last tip for the ultimate how to thrift guide is just be nice to the staff, fam, for a number of reasons. Like, it's nice to be nice. These people in the charity shops are volunteers. Most of them don't get paid. They're there either because they want work experience, they're retired, they're doing it just because they like talking to people. You know, there's all sorts of different reasons, but money is not one of them for most of them. So just be nice. Even though they are serving you, a little bit of courtesy goes a long way. Just be nice for the sake of being nice. And with that being said, that was the ultimate how to thrift guide. Now, I know that there's probably a few tips that I've like missed out on, or you might have your own tips or rituals that you might want to share. And if you do, leave them in the comment section down below. I also want to know what you guys think about thrifting. There's this whole controversy about like, oh, are you actually making money from charity shops? Oh, that's so immoral. So I just want to know your thoughts on that. And for any other fashion related question or any question about me, leave all of them in the comment section, in the chat. Can we get some F's, big man? If you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a dislike. If you want to support the channel and see more of what I do, then you can. Press the little subscribe button. Press the little bell icon if you want to get notified when I upload a new video. And with all of the self-promo out of the way, thank you for watching my video. Bye.